welcome to an amazing Friday afternoon here in the studio. It is Hitches and Voices. And remember, Hitches and Voices is brought to you by NAPVID, Network for the Advancement of Persons with Visible Disabilities. And also, happy Workers' Day to all the workers across Nigeria. I hope the Friday is going amazingly well for you. For a couple of weeks now, we've been talking about the current fuel hike and how it's affecting persons with disabilities. But we've not yet touched on how it's affecting students with disabilities, and that's what we'll be doing in the studio today. Our guest for today is Mr. Chinemere David, and he's a teacher in the special schools for kids, and also is also the chairperson for the Association of Technology Inclined Visually Impaired in Nigeria, the Edo State chapter. And to do justice to our hearing impaired community, we have Mrs. Cynthia Godwin Aya, who is our sign language interpreter. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Chinemere.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, for us to dive straight into the conversation, can you please introduce yourself to us and what you do properly?
Well, my name, like you've said, is Chinemere David Iwala. I'm a teacher currently at School for the Visually Impaired here in Benin City. Also, I am the chairman of Association of Technology Inclined Visually Impaired Persons of Nigeria, Edo State chapter.
Okay, that's amazing. Can you just give us a little bit into what your association is about? Just a quick intro.
Basically, just like the name implies, we are a technology inclined association that tries to say how we could leverage on technology, either modern or traditional technology, to see how we could equip our people to empower them for today's world. Basically, that's just what we do.
So that means you guys work with students with disability also?
Everybody.
Okay. Yeah, now diving into the matter of the current fuel hike, I feel like it's a topic that is on everybody's lips, and it's a matter of concern. So can you tell us, before this current fuel hike, what is the challenges or one of the challenges that students with disabilities face, maybe coming to school in the process of learning and maybe in their daily lives as students before the fuel hike? Can you give us an insight of what some of the challenges they face?
You know, like I say always, another word for disability is limitation. So, which means for the mere fact that somebody is already going about with a form of disability or not, shows that that person is already facing some very severe challenges, other than what every other able-bodied person, like we'll try to call them, faces. So, ordinarily, a person with disability is already facing challenges. If I have to go somewhere, for instance, I would need a sighted person to aid me or assist me to the place. And that will mean an extra cost for me. So now we're talking about the spike in the price of petrol due to the Iran-US war, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and all of that. You could see that it becomes even worse, because one of the first things it affects is transportation price. And just like it is with every other person, transportation we've discovered have gone higher, maybe by 100 or 200, 300, 500, depending on the location or the distance you are to cover. So, naturally, disability in itself comes with some very severe challenges.
Like what and what for students with disability now, to be specific?
Commuting to school.
Okay.
Commuting to school, you know, it became very, very serious. If you see like when we took, what will I call it now? When we tried to understudy what happened when they relocated us, for instance, we were at a place, though we've been promised now we'll be taken back, and that is a temporary measure. We were located from our former location at Iviore Primary School, that's close to St. Augustine, around that Ukege area. We were located to Uwa Primary School and Izevige, which is along First. You could see that from then on, it became extremely very challenging, because many people had to drop out because of the extra costs that they had to pay coming to school. Many people had to drop out. So that if you even check our books, you'll see that we had a reduced student attendance in school from then on until now. It's maybe now some people we're trying to find a way around the whole situation, and maybe some are beginning to come back and all of that.
Okay. Oh, okay. So now that the current fuel hike is an issue currently, so what is is there a different challenges that has been faced by the students, or is it the same? Is there a difference?
Of course, of course. It naturally follows that it's just like, for instance, most of our pupils are from remote parts of Edo State. We have pupils from Igara, we have pupils from Urumi, Irwa, and all of those other parts, Oronigbe, all other parts of Edo State. So now it's a no-brainer. Let's just try to estimate how much it will cost to bring somebody from Igara, the capital of Akoko Edo, for instance, or Auchi. How much the price is now. And that person will have to come, because this, for instance, is a primary school, which will mean that, oh, these are young people. Yes. These are young persons. So that person, you cannot leave a child. Well, I have a child in my school who's just 7. She's just 7 years. And she comes from, is it Opoji? Yeah, something Opoji. Oh. That child definitely cannot come herself. She will have to come, sometimes she comes with her grandmother or one of her aunties or something. So that child will have to come with an extra person. So you can imagine how much it is now. So naturally, even without thinking too much, you just discover that, of course, that puts an extra burden on the person's already strained finances.
Yes, that's very true. But is there something that the school is doing currently to help, maybe the school or the institution, to help these students?
You know, there's another danger will come from somebody who's being carried on the back cannot carry on that person. The school itself needs help. So how can the school who needs help the pupils? The most we can do is to try to see how we could advocate, call on well-spirited individuals, corporate organizations who have persons with disability at heart, and maybe the government, to try to see how we could help some of these pupils. I personally, I have to solicit cash from my friends to even transport some of my pupils sometimes home or back from school or back from home. Yes, personally, I've done that in the past. So, except we just want to go out of our way personally to do some of those things. The school does not have any structured plan or any of all of those resources to be able to carry out that kind of activity.
Well, the thing is that what you just mentioned now is also a means of helping. Even though it is not well structured, it's still a means, and I'm sure that you're not the only teacher who is going this extra means to help some of those students. But then you made mention
But the problem with that is that that's not sustainable.
Very true.
That's not sustainable.
That's true.
If, for instance, I do not have enough at the time, or all of the teachers are just faced with some kind of financial challenge at the time.
Yes.
So the question is, what do we do? So we have to look for sustainable measures to try to see how we could always get these people to school. Because for me, I just don't see another way a person with visual impairment in particular, or persons with disabilities in general, can go about life without education.
Yes.
For me, education is a leveler. Education is a leveler. If you, the best pathway I feel for persons with disabilities to be able to come out of the shackles of poverty, for me, is simply education. There could be other ways, but
that's like a number one.
That's like the number one.
Okay,
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And my boss, Barrister Melody, will always say that education is a leveler. When you said it, that is one of his favorite words, because a lot of times people act like persons with disabilities are liabilities, but education is a way to even change that.
Exactly.
That is a stereotype. Education is one way to change that. And now going back to what you said about the school, you mentioned the fact that the school on its own needs some things. Can you help us with some of the things that are like shortage in the school, some of the challenges that the school is facing itself? Or let's say special school generally, like some of the things or challenges that it might have that is quite different from the normal school, or if I should put it that way.
Yeah, I think now we're talking about the spike in the price of petrol because of the crisis and all of that. So the immediate thing would be that the school needs, like our school, for instance, used to have a bus.
Okay.
But it's been very challenging. Something's happened recently, and that bus is no longer. It's not been on the road for more than 2 years now.
Wow. That's a long time.
Also very importantly too, I think these whole special schools in Edo State needs a boarding facility, needs accommodation. That is a very pressing need. Something I think whether corporate organizations, whether government, just need to find a way around. very seriously, the special schools in Edo State need boarding facility. It's very, very important because pupils commuting to school every day, it's quite very risky. Very risky, especially for persons with visual impairment. We've had stories of where persons with visual impairment were either hit by a vehicle or fell into a drainage or something. You could imagine sometimes, we're about approaching the rainy season now. That makes it even more challenging. So, very importantly, and as a pressing need, the school needs accommodation, like a boarding facility.
Okay, well, I really wasn't referring to the accommodation and body facility now. I was talking more of like
materials we need in school.
Yes, like the school outside persons, outside the kids now, like the school itself. But then you made mention, before we go back to that, you made mention of the rainy season coming, and it just threw my mind back to a situation we had where some kids, I think a child drowned during the raining season when they were coming back from school. It just throws more light to how this transportation or a means of transporting for these kids is very important, because these are special kids and they need them. But then I think we need to do more justice to that. Can you throw more light on the means of transportation or accommodation as a way to rectify the current challenges that are being faced as a means of this fare hike?
You know, I would not want to talk too much without preferring solutions.
Okay.
I'm thinking in my head while we were having this conversation that maybe in the short run, I'm thinking in the short term, the government should find a way to maybe talk to maybe all these public government-owned transport companies. I am aware Edo State, for instance, has a line. Like those who are coming from other parts or very far distance. Maybe if they are able to show cause that they are persons with disability and they are pupils, maybe the government should be able to talk to all of these people if they could bring them down free of any cost. That's in the short term. In the long term, I'm thinking that persons with disability should have a disability identity card with which they can access government services, whether at very subsidized cost or free of cost completely. I don't think that's too much for the government to do.
Actually.
Because the question we always ask is, how many are we? How many are we? We are a very infinitesimal percentage of the entire population. So I'm thinking that the government this is something that they can do for persons with disability to assist. Or like it is, for instance, in Lagos, you are aware of the BRT buses. If a person with disability gets on the BRT buses, you are paying no dime. You're not paying a dime for getting on the BRT bus. So government should look at things like this to cushion the effect. For instance, I am a teacher and I'm a person with visual impairment. If transportation is taken away, if the cost of transportation is taken away from the money I have to spend from time to time, of course that will help me a lot, for instance, and other persons with visual impairment and disability too.
Okay, so we're going to come back to that, but right now we will be going on a very short break. We did an interviewing a couple of persons, including teachers and advocates for the disability community, to talk on this same matter on how the current fare hike is affecting students with disability. So we're going to play it right now and we'll be right back. Thank you. With the recent fare hike, we spoke to educators and disability advocates to understand its impact on students with disabilities, and here's what they had to say.
I am Chinemerem David Iwala, the chairman of Association of Technology Inclined Visually Impaired Persons of Nigeria, Edo State Chapter.
Good day, everybody. My name is Igudu Clara. I'm a teacher.
My name is Ignoma Yorobosa Timothy, a member of Nigeria Association for the Blind, Edo State Chapter, and the Edo SAC coordinator, NAB.
It's having a huge impact on them. You see, as a child with visual impairment, specifically, a child needs the assistance of the parents or a guardian, and that will require paying for two persons. So if they're supposed to pay 300 naira, for example, per person, 600 for two of them, it will now require maybe 500 naira for one person, making it 1,000. And now the parents will have to drop the child in school, go back, When the child closes from school, the parents will have to come back. So imagine how much the parents will have to pay to bring the child to school. The parents will go back, then come back again to pick that same child back home before going to wherever he or she is working. So it's a huge challenge. It's having so much effect on them. And my prayer is that this hiking for should not affect these children's academics.
Clearly, without even racking your brain, you will know that for persons with visual impairment, it's going to be an extra burden on their finances, because these people are already strained. You already know there's just a natural price in the cost of transportation when you're commuting around town. And what makes it more interesting is that many of the people who come to school in Benin come from other parts of Edo State. There are some who come from the Edo Central part, there are some who come from Edo North, and you can imagine what it would be on the already strained finances of their parents, for instance. So for us as visually impaired persons, you will know that already, automatically, it's already an extra cost for us.
Thank you very much. We say these fuel increments are really affect a person with disability, most especially students. You see, for example, a parent is bringing his or her child to school now. He or she will first of all come with the child to school before going back. Coming back again in the afternoon to come and pick that same child. Where you normally take a vehicle before 200 naira, it's now 500 naira, 600 naira. And because of this now, most parents, to eat 3 square meals is difficult. Talk of affording those transport. The thing is really biting hard on the community, person with disability.
And by way of recommendation, I would suggest that just like it is in Lagos and other parts of the world, or you see all over the world, because of this increment in the price of petrol, for instance, many countries all over the world have been putting measures. So by way of recommendation, I would suggest that maybe for students or persons with disability, for maybe public buses, transportation should be totally free or subsidized for them. Or in the long run, we would like to ask that accommodation be provided for especially students. I think that is a very pressing need. It's been on for a while. We're trying to see how we could push that accommodation so that these people don't have to travel far to come to school on a daily basis.
Well, the way forward in all this is for the relevant authority to please look into boarding facility for persons with disability, so that the student will have a hostel where they can stay and learn effectively, so that the burden of coming from home will be reduced from the part of the parents, because many children they are at home because of no boarding facility.
These insights reflect the real challenges faced by the disability community, with students with disabilities being even more affected. This also highlights the need for a more inclusive and thoughtful support system. The break, one common thing that everybody was saying is how a subsidized means of transportation, maybe with buses, should be made available for students, and also the need for accommodation to be made available for students with disabilities. And sir, we would want you to maybe in a few words, is there any other thing you'd like to add to the things that they've said already?
Nothing much to be added, but research has shown that there's a correlation between poverty and disability. And I would want to appeal to the conscience of well-meaning individuals and the government that somebody is already facing some kind of challenge because of a disability is enough. Now depriving that person of the chance of being educated becomes even worse. So please, we are appealing that on the basis of the price hike in petroleum products, no child should be denied a chance at getting educated. So all hands must be on deck to ensure that we'll find a way to cushion this effect that this hiking transportation price has on persons with disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You've spoken very well throughout the session. And also, lastly, I would like to say that the main thing right now is providing, as I've said earlier, a means of accommodation and also a means of transportation. It is what we've been singing throughout today's session for students with disability. And as we're bringing this series to a close on the fuel hike and how it's affecting persons with disability, I would like to say that there is a need for us to put persons with disabilities in decisions that matter when it comes to fuel hike or every single economic decision that is being made in our country, as they are also a huge part of our society. And to wrap this up, I'll be saying again, happy Workers' Day to all our workers across Nigeria, and remember, spot a itch and be a voice. Thank you.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.